get back in here, and we're going to start on cue. Because, you know, we want to have at least a quorum, and I'm looking around, and I don't, okay, I need 6 people here. What's that? Oh, we did lose one.
We're all right outside.
Okay, here they're coming in throng. Okay, they got the signal. Okay, did you negotiate who's going to go first between you two very powerful people?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be part one of the Kelly and Kumar show.
The K and K show. Okay, well, we're going to start with the new chair of our Maryland Public Service Commission, the Honorable Kumar Barve. Kumar, welcome. And why don't you tell us, you know, some of them, not everybody here knows you that well like I do, so why don't you start by just tell them, the committee, a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
You can...
I mean, let me begin. I at least have one former E&T member on your committee. My name is Kumar Barve, and most of you have known me from my previous life as a member of the House of Delegates, Majority Leader, Chair of the E&T Committee, which now regulates my subject matter. And I think you know me for a whole bunch of different reasons, perhaps Kumar the Magnificent, the legislative follies, you know. You know me less as an accountant, which is professionally what I do, and this is a job where I'm going to be able to deploy my skills as an accountant to really go to bat for the ratepayers of the state of Maryland. I know a lot of people want me to be something of a hard ass when it comes to this. The fact of the matter is that I think those skills of having a background in accounting, finance, and economics is going to be particularly relevant. It's been very helpful to me as a member of the commission, and now especially as the chair of the commission. And so obviously we're in a moment of crisis both in the state of Maryland and nationally with respect to energy, and that applies to both electricity and natural gas. I will say very quickly, you are very familiar, Mr. Chairman, with, and I have to say, I always love coming into this committee. I love having nothing but friends here, at least that's what I think. And so it's always a great honor for me to be here, and it's always great for me to see my senator here as well. So District 17's in the House. So I will say that obviously, especially with respect to electricity, the 3 major factors that we have to keep our eye on are, number one, of course, the cost of the actual the resource, the cost of the electrons, and that's the case in gas as well. That's one variable in this 3-part equation. The next is distribution, getting the electrons or the natural gas molecules from where they're generated to your wall socket, and that's a very large part of the cost component. And number 3, of course, the weather, and that's the one thing that we have very little control over as a state. And so we're going to have to be especially savvy in balancing our policies and making our rulings with an eye to moderating and hopefully putting ourselves on a trajectory where utility rates become more affordable. I will say that since joining the Public Service Commission, what I have discovered is that the blanket statements that I would occasionally make as the chair of a standing committee don't always apply. Every situation is like a fingerprint. There are unique features to every problem in our energy landscape, and I'm very fortunate to have some of the most talented people in Maryland state government in the Public Service Commission. I like to say they're DLS excellent. That's how good they are. And we are right now in the midst of a aggressive policy on my part, especially to fill staff positions as quickly as possible so that we can serve the people of the state of Maryland, your constituents, and you as legislators. And unlike a guy who owns an electric vehicle company that I may own a vehicle to, I don't believe in moving quickly and breaking things. I believe in moving quickly and breaking nothing. So you can be cautious and expeditious at the same time, and that is my intent. So let me say that here we are worrying right now about energy availability and stability at a time when we're freezing. But in another 6 months, it'll be the reverse. It will be 105 degrees out there. Everybody's going to have their air conditioner running. And so in advance of that, I'm going to reorient, or I'm going to orient the commission to look at solutions for those episodes. And it's my hope to be able to report to you something that we're able to do between now and June and July, because I don't think the usual pattern of work in Annapolis and in our commission is you guys pass. You introduce a bill, you have a public hearing, we interact with you, the law goes into effect October later that year, and then we start to gear up to do things to address that. I think that our time schedules are now a little more compressed, given the fact that, that with climate change, bizarre weather is just becoming more and more and more frequent. Whether you support climate change or not, bizarre weather is becoming more and more frequent. And we have to aggressively prepare in advance of that. I think at this point, what I'd like is for Kelly, who you probably don't know as well as me, to go. And I do have some just quick reports I'd like to do on some of the laws that you passed, just to tell you where the commission is right now on those action items. And I will just conclude by saying it's always an honor for me to be in the Senate of Maryland, especially in this committee, especially before my good friend who I met in the year 2000, if you can believe it, and before he was even elected as a delegate. And I consider it the greatest honor of my life to be able to end my career serving the people of the state of Maryland, your constituents and our ratepayers. So thank you so much. And at the end of your comments, I just have some brief notes that I want to share with you.
Sure. Well, no one told me that the Kumar Kelly show, that I would have to follow such an eloquent speaker. So I'm a little taken aback here. Thank you all so much for your time. I'm excited to get to know each and every one of you and to work with you on issues of energy. My name's Kelly Speaks Backman, as everyone knows by now. I am leading the Maryland Energy Administration, and this serves a little bit as a homecoming for me. From 2010 to 2011, I was the Clean Energy Director. I worked with Mr. Dodson, actually, at MEA. And then I was appointed to the commission, the Public Service Commission, and served there from 2011 to 2015. So I am so very happy to be back here in Maryland. In the interim, I've had a number of roles across my career, always in energy, always in clean energy, at that intersection between energy and environment. So for example, in private industry, I worked for solar companies, gas generation companies, an IPP. In federal government, I was appointed as the acting assistant secretary for the Department of Energy's Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Office in the Biden administration. And I've worked for nonprofits such as the Alliance to Save Energy and Energy Efficiency Association, as well as I was the first CEO of the Energy Storage Association. So I've been around a lot of different technologies. My educational background is mechanical engineering, but you should never ask me those kinds of questions because I have a technical lean, but don't know how to engineer anymore. Anyway, it's great to be back. And I just wanted to say also that returning to MEA has really reminded me of just how much we can do in a short amount of time. We have so much ahead of us. As Chair Barve mentioned, the ideas of balancing energy affordability, reliability, and environmental policy challenges are so intense right now. My tenure here is measured in weeks, not months. But just even in the last few weeks, I was taking a look at what we were doing. We ended 2025 with the governor's energy executive order. And that was at my T-7 days, by the way, so I don't know if I can say we. We supported the introduction of the governor's legislative proposal. We refined MEA's focus on short, medium, and long-term solutions, including better planning, which I know is important to you all. We also debuted a new pilot program for residential geothermal energy systems. We shaped our opposition to newly proposed utility rate hikes. You'll be seeing our testimony soon. We contributed just this week, along with the Public Service Commission and MDM, to round-the-clock emergency management efforts in this latest realm of winter storm. So there's a lot of urgency, but I will just say you'll hear a lot from me that there is also the requirement on all of us to focus on the medium and the long-term needs of Marylanders. Otherwise, we are rudderless. And so I just wanted to chat about that. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay.
And you can go through your list.
Sure. I was given to understand, Mr. Chairman, that there were certain issues that might be of interest to the committee.
Yeah,
So-
well, if I just, I think, at least for me, I'd like to get on the table.
Okay.
We passed the next gen energy bill last year, Senate Bill 937. I'd love to hear how, in terms of implementation of that piece of legislation, and anything else you want to add, but that one in particular, love to hear what's going on.
It's at the top of my list.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, well, yes, and there was a requirement for a solicitation for dispatchable energy and large capacity resources, and we've received 2 gas projects were given access to an expedited CPCN process as provided for under that law. Constellation, of course, has 5 years to apply for a CPCN, and of course, that will be completed, and that's a process that has a 1-year time limit. And just to
Mr.
remind you
Chair,
about
since
that.
just for everybody listening, there are millions of people watching online. This CPCN thing you're talking about, could you just let everybody will know?
I am filled with shame that I'm in front of Vice Chair Kagan and I have not explained an acronym. That's it. I'm going to have to resign. No.
Even I was warned not to use the acronyms.
Right. Certificate of public need and, and public necessity and a certificate for public. I have trouble with these acronyms myself. Public need and necessity. So the point of the CPCN process is to vet projects to see whether they're really important for the state of Maryland, and of course in the process we listen to all the stakeholders. It's a public process. It's transparent, and everyone gets to participate. So that process in that law for these generation units would be a year, because you wanted to have these things, this process not drag out forever. A second thing I just want to let you know of, because I know that your constituents are concerned about large loads like data centers. We have initial regulations submitted by our work group to the commission through rulemaking 93. So when you hear the word RM, that's rulemaking, similar, not dissimilar from the legislative process here in the legislature. We are going to have that rulemaking on February 4th. So we're moving expeditiously, likely to be a few rounds of review and comment. We believe that the new tariffs will be in place this fall. And to reduce that to standard English, what that means is that it's our desire to make sure that these large loads pay for their electricity, and hopefully, to the greatest extent possible, your constituents will not. So, we don't want grandma paying for Google. Let me put it that way. Next item, nuclear procurement regulations. Per statute, our work group submitted a report to the commission, and then the commission provided the General Assembly with recommendations for a few statutory changes. They seek to clarify some administrative aspects of the eventual procurement process for new nuclear. I will say that, again, nuclear and gas both are long-term investments. It's now taking 7 years to get gas turbine to be able to build a natural gas plant. the prices have more than doubled for these turbines, and nuclear is famously a long-term investment. The 2 nuclear plants in Georgia, I think, took nearly 20 years to build. And then finally, transmission-level storage procurement. The Commission has retained the services of a consultant to run a transmission-level procurement to procure 800 megawatts of storage. Application deadline is March 2nd. The Commission expects to make its determination by October 1st. So the point I'm trying to make here is that we are here to implement the laws that you pass, and we are working to do so in as expeditious and transparent a fashion possible. So I will leave it there. I know that your members will possibly have questions. Who knows?
Let's open it up. Kelly, you didn't have anything further. I mean, you'll take some questions now, or we're good?
We can
Okay.
take questions. I know we have a short amount of time, so. we
Yeah,
can
okay,
open up
so
to
let's start with Senator Washington, then Senator Gallion after that.
Thank you. And it is really such a pleasure to see you and to see you in this position, and having worked with you and being members of the House. And look how we grow up. Look at
I know we're all grown up now.
And also, so welcome to
Thank you.
Maryland, but welcome to back.
Thank
It's
you.
really good. MEA is a really important agency, part of the mix. I don't know if they're still here, but the Water Administration is also, I'm really glad that we're hearing all of these together. And it's great that you're moving forward on the energy utility side of the data center issue. As I expressed earlier, I have a great interest in water. Has there been an analysis about the impacts of the price of water or impacts on the water supply that some say, or that many of us understand?
Let me
to
check
be
with my
associated
experts.
with it? And this would have to do with the amount of water that is used in data centers and where they, frankly, where the output of the hot water goes.
Let me say that for the most part, we regulate very small water systems. Most of the large ones, like WSSC, are municipally run, and we don't we're not really engaged in that. I will say that oftentimes with some of these very small water systems, and some of which have like 17 customers. A lot of times these are systems that are not necessarily well managed. They haven't asked for a rate increase in 30 years, and sometimes we will have to actually allow them to increase rates in order to replace pipes. And sometimes, if you don't increase rates over 30 years, there can be a bump up for some of these small utilities. And so, so there are some price increases there that occasionally happen, but the majority of your constituents are getting their water from municipal systems and county and city-run systems.
And I understand that. And perhaps I'd love to change that in some way. But right now, though, however, I guess I'm asking for the interdisciplinary discussion in
Sure.
that data centers use water.
Oh, that's true.
A tremendous amount. And they also discharge water, a tremendous amount.
That's true.
And given the changes, one, in the certificate of need, as well as the amount of the size of the generation that's right now can be put up anywhere. So Baltimore County, Baltimore City, blocks from Johns Hopkins, lots of folks near waterways. So that is something that I'm just alerting to our committee, but also we have to take this into consideration. And do you need our support, or do we need to require, or can we support your being able to really take this into account?
My understanding is, for the most part, those kinds of functions are handled by the Department of the Environment. That's my understanding. But you know what? I'm going to double back with this and report back to you.
You see the interaction?
I do. I certainly do.
We're getting more of these
I would add that last year we passed SB 116, which was vetoed. We overrode that study, which is not just economic impacts of data centers, but all the environmental impact. So that's actually the subject of a study that we're due to get back this year, and it would include water consumption and those kinds of things. So,
And I just wanted it on the table and on the record that the intersectionality of these sources and these resources, and that I'm taking the opportunity as a new day, a new chair, that we can look at things not in isolation.
I completely.
But in other places, it has increased the price of water. So so just collaborating with the larger systems, WSSC, Baltimore, we have to be at the table because they're already experiencing increases in water.
You're correct, Senator, and I
Thank
look
you.
forward to de-siloing those issues.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
or de-siloing, I like that. Okay, Senator Gallion, then back to Senator Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations to both of you in your new leadership positions.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah, so one of my first bills I passed as a freshman, we got a bill helping our dairy farmers out.
Oh, yeah.
I came and met with you.
Yeah.
And that was one of the few bills that got passed with this kind of a split vote. It was, so I appreciated your time back then for a brand-new first-year legislator to take that time with me and to help get that shepherded
We
through.
all represent the same people.
That's right. So I wanted to start with that. But I'll start out with Chair Barbie, a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned with the one bill, there are two gas projects that are now, are they in the queue? Where are they?
Oh,
How far along?
I mean, they're under consideration. They're I believe they're pretty meritorious, but there's a lot of analysis that needs to be done. We're not going to drag our feet in this process, however.
Okay, great. And then,
And I can't really talk about these things because a lot of the elements are proprietary and confidential. So
Okay, that's
I can't go
understandable.
into the details.
and then just last week with the cold and the snow, there were some, in social media, different places, there were different reports of a possible load shedding event. I think the memo noted like low but not an insignificant risk of load shedding in the BGE zone, which I represent. Can you, I mean, that kind of was, I didn't see an official statement on that or anything. Can you kind of let us know what happened there, what's true, what's not true, and then also let us know if it was true, you know, what steps were taken to make sure our businesses, hospitals, and such were, you know, looked out for in those situations?
Sure. So it was, you know, it was a very difficult period of time. We're still in that period of time, and the weather estimates were that Friday was going to get cold again, and so we were looking at the metrics that we looked at was the estimated load or demand for electricity, which I think was around 147, the maximum estimate was 147 million megawatts. I think it was something like that. And we only got up to 138. Now, what happened was that PJM and our utilities and the transmission companies used a waiver that was granted by the Federal Department of Energy. It's under the Federal Power Act. It's called a Section 202C waiver, which we advised the Public Service Commission advised PJM to seek, and they did. What it does is it gives the Regional Transmission Organization, PJM, and utilities and the transmission owners the ability to engage in fairly aggressive demand management, which means that they were able to go to the transmission operators were able to go to large load entities like data centers, for example, and ask them to use their backup generation so that they would be able to shed their industrial loads so that it would never get to the point of affecting your constituents and our residential ratepayers. There are a lot of buffers built into the PJM interconnection, and we had to use lots of them, but we didn't have to resort to cutting off grandma's electricity or gas. The other issue that I think you need to be aware of is that all but, most of the generators that are slated to be backup generation worked. One did not. And I'm not even sure if I'm permitted to say anything more than that. But it's something that we view with great seriousness, and we'll just have to see this problem as it evolves. But the bottom line is there are buffers. We were able to use most of them. And so, yeah, it was a low but not insignificant risk.
Okay.
If
Like,
you
any
don't- if you
communication
don't
with
mind,
that is great.
If I can just add just a little bit. It was a combination really of a lack of localized supply, record demand, high demand, and transmission constraints.
Right.
And because of that, we were notified by PJM that there may be some load shedding that's necessary. There may be plants that need to be called online. And PJM asked Department of Energy if they could bring those, if they could get this 202C that was referenced earlier. And so throughout the week, we engaged with local governments. We engaged with MDEM. Don't ask me the acronym, I'm sorry. Thank you. It used to be called something else. Yeah, it was MEMA when I was there. At any rate, this confluence of situation, we felt the need to inform the legislature, the legislative body, in advance of anything becoming a crisis. We wanted to make sure that folks were communicated with early and then often as we got through the week. Luckily, in our, what is Thursday, so we've had 4 of these emergency management calls every morning at 8 a.m. We're in a decent shape.
So, and as demand increases, that this is a concern, and appreciate trying to expedite anything you can with baseload generation. The other stuff's all well and good, but we need to keep the lights and heat on. May I ask the Director, MEA?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Director Speaks Backman, I think it was Ronald Reagan that said about the closest thing to eternal life you'll ever find on Earth is a government program once it's started. So this is my question about Empower. I know recently we had a bill that deals with amortization. I think a lot of the low-hanging fruit's already been done with that program, and all of us are dealing with constituents who are struggling with high energy costs, and honestly, quite frankly, that's one part of it, and it's right on the bill. So is there any thought of this program kind of has run its course, we got to get the debt paid off, and then it's time to shut that down and save our constituents a great deal of money? And I'm not just talking about the $40 we're supposed to see with one of these bills we're talking about, but some real money.
So I appreciate the question, and as the Public Service Commission administers the Empower program, I'd definitely like you to have an opportunity to respond. Empower programs are laid out with a cost effectiveness test, that they must be paid back. They must be cost effective for consumers and for ratepayers. And that's how they get passed by Chair Barve's organization. And we supplement and we support energy efficiency programs, especially for low and moderate income customers, to be able to afford their bills, even as we're trying to bring down rates for everyone. And so I would say, yes, there is no such thing as eternal life. But I would also say that Empower is bringing millions and millions of dollars to consumers who need it most, especially, but to all consumers. And I would say that especially in a time when we're facing higher and higher bills, because we have to build out generation and build out transmission, to be able to offset that cost and bring it down for for consumers who choose to engage in that program is a win for them, and it's a win for the state.
Yeah, let me also say that when it was originally designed, the impetus for the Empower program, a great part of the impetus for the Empower program was to lessen demand through energy efficiency in order to lessen the need to build out transmission. And that was one of the original arguments made for the program. And that attempt, that public policy attempt is still very relevant in this day to day. I mean, the fact is that, yes, we have to do, this is a problem where we have to do absolutely everything. We're going to have to build generation, sometimes in types and in places where people don't want it. Transmission, same thing, types and places that people don't want it. We're going to have to use certain technologies that some people like and other people don't like. And we're also going to have to continue to be serious about using these funds to help customers use fewer electrons. If we decide not to use one particular tool in our arsenal, then we're just putting more of a strain on everything else. I don't mean to say this to in any way diminish the need for generation, transmission of any other kind. I'm very technology agnostic, and I think that we have to do everything, and part of everything are the energy efficiency programs that are partly funded by Empower.
And if we think about the cost of what you see on your electric bill, about half of that is generation. About another third of that is distribution, and the rest is made up of transmission and fixed costs.
Correct,
and things like that. It is not necessarily about what types of generation. I agree with you. It's not necessarily about what types of generation that are driving our costs. It's that our transmission is old and insufficient, and it's that we haven't had any, on a regional level, we haven't had much generation approved by PJM to be able to be connected. And that's the real problem that we have with these rates. And that's what I think we need to address. Because when you think about getting more generation on the grid, the cheapest right now, and actually the most available that you can get on the grid most immediately, is clean energy, like solar and storage. And they can provide a baseload type power. But that's not necessarily having to do with specifically what types of generation we're talking about. We're talking about what can we do as quickly as possible.
Okay, why don't we move on, although we'll go to Senator Brooks and Senator Hester. I would make the point about Empower, because that is a surcharge. You know, yes, it was energy efficiency program from like 08 to 2022, but in 2022, this chamber changed it a little bit and had goals that go to greenhouse gas emissions. So really to Senator Gallian's question is, you know, having made that change, is some of the energy efficiency emphasis, which produced a lot of savings, super successful program, should we be looking at a little bit differently with that change in the law, you know, that took place a few
I apologize,
years ago?
I didn't hear the question in quite that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe, I don't want to speak for him. I don't want to speak for him, but I think that's what he was getting at. Okay, Senator Brooks, then Senator Hester, and then we still have to do some bill hearings and some voting, so
all right, I'll be quick.
Oh, no, not
here, yes.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and welcome. Yeah, you know, as we know, you know, there's been a lot of conversation about PJM and, you know, in the way certain people feel about them. And of course, their charge is reliability and sustainability, you know, and sometimes people think differently. There's even been some talk about trying to pull away from PJM, you know, but we're net importers, so, you know, we're only generating 6% of what we're consuming. So if we do that, then what kind of position we'll be in, you know? I sort of liken that to the dog chasing a car. Then once you catch it, then what do, you know? So I think we need to think deep and hard before we do that. And I'll let you say something about that. But before we get there, I'm going to hit you with another acronym. That's MPRP. That's the Maryland Piedmont Reliability Project, you know, that's the 70 miles of transmission line from...
Really? I hadn't heard anything about it.
I'm sure you haven't. Yeah, and I think that was, you guys are going to, PSC is going to make a decision on that in 2027, I believe. So.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
and let me just say that the process is transparent. It is ongoing. And we haven't heard all of the, we have only seen a fraction of the testimony that we're going to receive. And as a judge, in effect, on this, I will not form an opinion or express an opinion until we have gone through the entire process.
Right. Well, I'm sure you know how the landowners, the farmers, and all the people in my, especially my community, various communities down, and they think that those electrons are going to be going down to service the data centers in Northern Virginia, So, but that's just the belief, but who knows, right? Yeah. So, and then the other thing was that we were wondering whether or not, PSEG's got the contract, and that's Public Service Enterprise Group, which is a New Jersey company,
Correct.
And there've been some arguments that maybe perhaps Marylanders should have gotten that sense that those towers were going to be erected in Maryland mostly. So those were some of the concerns. So.
Well, I'm aware of those concerns,
Yeah.
and I feel very hesitant to comment at all because, unlike when I was a legislator, I could say I was going to vote this way or vote that way,
Right.
and the public expected that. But if I were to be so foolish as to prejudge any case before us, the people who disagree with me could ask me to recuse myself from voting, which
Right.
we don't want.
Right.
So
Okay.
it would be non-optimal for a chairman to be in that position.
Right, okay. I've got that email, okay. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, let's go Senator Hester, then Vice Chair Kagan, then we might have to bring some closure to this presentation. Senator Hester?
Thank you. I want to also extend a warm welcome to both of you. It's great to see you here today. Chair Barve, I've known you for a long time, and it's great to see you in this role. Director
you.
Speaks-Beckman, it's been a real pleasure to get to know you. I value your deep expertise that I've learned from you already and your willingness to collaborate. So thank you very much. I have two questions. My first is, for me, it was a refreshing breath of, fresh air to hear that MEA was going to focus on affordability, reliability, and our clean energy goals. I'm curious if that is something you're saying and leading towards, or if there will be anything in, regs or statute that kind of solidifies your commitment to those three things?
I haven't considered putting that in regulation or in legislation, but it is certainly what I came here to do on the request of the governor to focus on that balance. And how we balance that will be a number of things. One is helping to advise you all on policy to make this balance a durable one across any administration, but also to get the programs, make sure that the programs are oriented, that we have are oriented towards that balance as well. So thinking about not just how many people we're helping or how many kilowatt hours we're putting on the grid or taking off the grid from energy efficiency, but how is it meeting the goals that we've set out for ourselves in balancing the reliability, affordability, and sustainability.
Perfect. And then my second one is for either one of you. I've spent a lot of time working with the PJM Critical Infrastructure Fast Path process. You may recall that on January 16th, Governor Moore went to D.C. and had a great announcement, with the administration, where they all agreed that data centers should pay for their fair share of these things. Same day, PJM came out with their response to the SIT-fee proposal. They actually mentioned the PJM Legislators Collaborative, NRDC, in their 6-page document, which is quite unusual for them to mention a non-member's contribution, so I was really happy about that. But my question is, the way I read this is that it looks like PJM is going to be allocating in the future reliability risk and cost increases to the load-serving entities, right? Yes. And then those load-serving entities, whether they're would be utilities, and then the utilities are under the jurisdiction of the states. So the states would have to determine how the utilities then distribute the cost and the reliability impacts. Have you guys, it's kind of like I need an AG opinion on this PJM speak, but is that what they're saying?
Yes, and in addition, as part of the principles, the governors have recommended that the LSC, that the Public Service Commission, in fact, create a separate rate class for these large loads. And therefore, the wholesale level would follow through only to that specific rate class.
But that's what our tariff that we passed last year will do, that you guys are currently doing the regs on, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. But I think it gets even more narrow. So that tariff was going to be for all of the large loads. But I actually think that they're even narrowing it more down, that's saying the cost and the reliability, which would be great for us. I mean, if it was retroactive, because then Loudoun County would have had to pay for all their data centers in Virginia, which right now, we're paying for some of that too. But I suspect that like wherever the data centers go, that PJM is saying that they will assign both the reliability and the cost within that local LSE. Now, you're saying that my understanding is correct?
That is what my understanding also is. So I would say that's correct. I would say also, though, that there were some differences in what PJM proposed that did not,
Oh, absolutely.
that really was not consistent with
Right.
what the governors had and the White House had asked for. And so there's still some work to be done.
I mean, my impression is that there's not a great deal of, there are points of overlap, but there are a lot more instances where there's no overlap. And we're still, at the Public Service Commission, we're still analyzing both documents. And of course, we're still going to start our rulemaking with respect to these, with respect to tariffs for these large loads, plural. And by the way, this is not anything new. We have separate tariffs for different types of industrial users, Amtrak, federal government facilities. So this is nothing unusual for us.
But with the you're absolutely right. The tariffs would not be new, although we've never had a large load tariff before, which is why we got it through, and you guys are doing it now. But in terms of the load shedding, assigning load shedding to a particular type of entity, that would be something new. And I think that's what.
No, actually, that's not that unusual. The PJM and other regional transmission organizations will, when they have to manage demand, will go to the transmission owners, who will then roll it down to large loads that have backup generation, and they will say, you need to shed X number of megawatts. You've got a backup generation, rely upon that. That process it doesn't happen all the time, but it is a process that everyone is familiar with, and it works very quickly. When it's arranged properly, it works very quickly to shed load.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be talking about this again.
I'm certain. Okay, we're going to go to the final question from Vice Chair Kagan, then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is not a question. First off, I just have to give the love to my friend, constituent, and former colleague, Kumar Barve. And you better keep being nice to us since it's Senate advice and consent. And second, Ms. Speaks-Backman, we look forward to working with you. I just really want to give a shout out to the two fine gentlemen behind you as well, Landon Farrig and Ian Ullman, who is very well known in this committee, having grown up here, I think, from about third grade, working for Chair Pinsky, Senator Pinsky, for a million years, and then at MEA. And I'm so glad, Ian, that you've stayed on at MEA to continue your excellent work. And Landon Farrig, thank you for always being accessible and stuff to us.
Not half as glad as I am.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, I am, again, very confident that all these topics to be continued, I think, this session. So thanks to both of you for coming in here.
And let me,
sure.
I usually say this, and I forgot to. If you have a question, I know you have my number. Call me. If you don't, he's got my number.
I do have your number. Okay, thank you to both.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice
Okay,
Chair.
guys, so we're going to have to take a little 5-minute break. Okay, we have 5 departmental bills, which I think are going to be relatively quick. And then followed by, we've got 5 bills. Well, it's actually 4 departmental bills, 4. And then we've got 5 bills on a voting list. So I think we can be pretty efficient about this, but we have to, for technical reasons, break for 5 minutes. So Lamoria can do what she needs to do. So 5-minute break. Back here at, 4 p.m. and Mr. Secretary, Acting Secretary, you'll be able to do your thing. Okay, thanks, guys. 5 minutes.